If you would have asked me 5 years ago what the on-trend brewing thing would be in 2021, I would have guessed something with the letters I, P, and A. And I would have been wrong. Laugh all you want, but hard seltzer is here to stay. And Imperial Yeast's new seasonal strain W04 Paramount can help brewers get the most out of their water fermentations. A clean and aggressive fermenter, Paramount will produce an excellent seltzer with low fusel alcohols, plus it's gluten-free. If you tried making seltzer with standard ale or lager strains, you know the struggle, and Imperial Yeast is here to help with W04 Paramount. Learn more about this novel strain at imperialyeast.com and pick up your W04 Paramount before it's too late. As of last month, that's February of 2022, Brewlosophy proper is 8 years old, which still feels very weird for me to say. In the beginning of this whole thing, my idea was simply to create a place on the internet where people who share my interest in the more sciencey side of brewing and beer could go to read up on the experiments I was performing in my garage. Much to my surprise, things grew in ways I could never have imagined, and in less than a year, I'd built a crew of fellow nerdy homebrewers to help me consistently produce content, which at the time was solely web-based. I've told this story before, so I won't go too deep into it now, but it didn't take long for us to start getting requests to start a podcast, which I was admittedly anxious about for two main reasons: time and cost, which are linked according to my grandfather, who used to say time is money. Needless to say, in 2017, we took the leap and started the Brewlosophy podcast. And honestly, it was a bit more of a bear than I ever imagined it would be, but we stuck to it. And here we are today at episode 228. It is not my point to get too sentimental or anything here, but the absolute truth is that we've only been able to make it this long because of the support of our patrons, those people who appreciate what we do enough to commit a small monthly pledge over at patreon.com/brewlosophy, which we use to pay for this whole shindig. Yes, we have sponsors as well, and they are the other huge piece to the puzzle. But consider the fact every ad you hear on this show are from companies who we believe in and whose products we actually use and love. We could easily go with a server that interjects ads for stuff you don't give a hoot about, but we've been able to avoid that specifically because of the people who believe in us enough to shoot us a few bucks per month. To our current patrons, thank you so much. All of us are here at Brewlosophy really do hope that you understand that it's because of your support that we've been able to keep doing this thing that we love doing so much. And we truly hope it's been worthwhile for you. To those who aren't currently patrons of Brewlosophy, no sweat at all. We get it. Times are tough for many right now, and we're stoked to be able to offer this little departure from reality at no cost. That said, I do often get questions about a few of the most popular reward tiers we offer our patrons, so I'm going to go over those really quickly. One of our most popular reward packages goes to those who pledge just $5 per month. At this level, patrons receive a unique discount from YakimaValleyHops.com, which, while is often for hops, is occasionally for other cool stuff they sell like rhizomes and clothing. Regardless, in nearly every case, the discount ends up being worth more than the pledge amount, which I think is pretty sweet. For those who pledge $3 or more per month, they get an invite to participate in a monthly live Q&A session with special guests in the brewing world. These are currently held in our private Facebook group, which I know isn't ideal. I get that, but it is the best option for our purposes at this point. We are actively looking for other options. And for people who can't make it to the live sessions, they are saved to the group, so you can go back and watch them whenever you like. In the last few years, we have had some killer guests like Russian River's Vinny Chilurzo, homebrewing influencer Sarah Flora, and BJCP Master Judge Gordon Strong, to name a few. Coming up later this month, March of 2022, the hosts of the killer podcast Homebrew Happy Hour will be hanging out with our patrons and answering their questions. The feedback we get from these patrons about these events is always very positive, and I love the fact that they're private, which means the questions you ask will almost certainly be addressed by the guest. Well, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you have heard me talk about Crow and Wolf Brewing Company. In fact, they were on a past episode talking about their experience starting a brewery during the COVID pandemic. After that very popular episode hit the waves, I was inundated with emails from people asking questions that they wanted the brewers to answer more deeply. Also just saying how much they loved that episode. So we do plan to bring more brewers to talk about their experience. So back in October, I ended up bringing on Brad Gaines and Spencer Andrews, or asking Brad and Spencer if they would join us for one of these live Patreon Q&A sessions. They agreed, and we were going to record it live here in the studio. Unfortunately, Spencer had to cancel last minute. So instead, I brought contributor Paul Amico, who has been doing the majority of the Hop Chronicles articles for the website over the last few years. And we sat down again live here in the studio and answered those questions from patrons. For this very special episode, we're going to be sharing that Q&A session with all of you live and uncut. So if you're sensitive to certain language, be forewarned. Just to give you a taste of what our patrons get every month just for helping us out. If you happen to feel compelled to become a patron yourself, or you just want to check out all of the other rewards you can get for helping us out, head over to patreon.com/support. And if you're not quite ready for such a commitment, which we completely understand, another really easy way to support us is by using the links found at brewlosophy.com/support when shopping online. It is absolutely painless. You just click a link, do your shopping, and we get a little kickback for the referral. And finally, if you wouldn't mind letting us know what you think about this show by leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcast or wherever it is you listen to podcasts, we'd really appreciate it. Not only does it give us an idea of what our listeners think, but it does help those who may not have heard of us yet to find the show. All right, feedback is brought to you by Brewers Hardware, who offer brewers beautiful stainless gear such as the turnkey BH15 pilot brewing system, which has a hard plumb manifold to eliminate all hosing changes during the brew process. Brewers Hardware has a ton of unique purpose-built products useful to both professionals and home brewers. Go see for yourself at brewershardware.com, and don't forget to mention Brewlosophy at checkout to receive a free gift. That's brewershardware.com. Listener Toby Krempel wrote in with an email after listening to our recent episode where we talked about low and no alcohol beers. Toby said they still ID you at the grocery store, at least around the Seattle area. I'm not sure if that means they are technically beer regardless of percentage and will always require an adult to purchase, or if the recent wave of new NA products hit the shelves quicker than the store product categories are able to be updated. For me, this past year, the new Athletic brand IPAs have helped me reduce my overall beer consumption quite a bit. I still drink socially and allow myself a few beers at home throughout the week, but I'm getting older and my 3 to 4 beer per night habit with constant mild hangover was something I wanted to change. The NA helps scratch the itch without the alcohol side effects. You know, Toby, I totally get the whole cutting back thing. It's something I've done as well, and I truly love that there's an option out there for those who still want to have the experience of drinking beer without the buzz, even if it's not something I'm necessarily interested in. Like I said, if I'm not up for drinking, I'll just stick with sparkling water. In fact, that's what I'm sipping on right now. But I know for a fact, Toby, that you are not alone. So thank you so much for the email. If you have show feedback, you can send it to feedback@brewlosophy.com or drop us a note on social media. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Brad Gaines from Crow & Wolf Brewing Company joins contributor Paul Amico and me for a fun Q&A session with patrons.
Have you ever thought about adding a port to your kettle but held off because you didn't feel like drilling into your gear or sending it off to have someone else do it? From the makers of the world's fastest counterflow chiller, the Exchillerator, comes the Hangover, the easiest way to add extra ports to your kettle as well as countless other options. Mount a faucet to your keg for easy portable pouring. Set up the perfect whirlpool arm. Hold a heating element in place. All of this and so much more without permanently modifying your gear. Manufactured right here in the United States, the Hangover offers brewers too many convenient solutions to list here. So head over to Exchillerator.com today to see what the Hangover can do for you.
Compact and simple to use with a small footprint for brewing indoors, the Grainfather makes it easy for you to brew professional quality beers at home. The Grainfather is an all-in-one brewing system that lets you brew all-grain beer in a single, compact stainless steel unit. It uses an electric heating element and pump to maintain a constant temperature and to circulate the wort during the mashing and cooling stages. It also comes with a counterflow chiller to reduce chilling times and produce high-quality wort. And now, with the addition of their conical fermenter, the Grainfather takes things one step further by offering homebrewers state-of-the-art temperature-controlled fermentation just like commercial breweries use. And with the Grainfather Recipe Creator and Connect app, you can easily design a recipe, sync your brewing system with your phone, and then just sit back and relax as the app takes over and assures that you maintain your scheduled mash temps and boil schedule. Head to Grainfather.com to purchase your all-in-one brewing system today and to sign up for their free Recipe Creator tool. Once more, head on over to Grainfather.com, that's Grainfather.com, and get started today.
Craftmaster Growlers takes traveling with and sharing beer to a new level. Made from heavy-duty stainless steel, Craftmaster Growlers are double-wall insulated and can keep beer cold for up to 8 hours. Unlike typical growlers, Craftmaster Growlers come with a swiveling tap and fully integrated CO2 regulator cap, allowing beer to stay fresh for 2 weeks or more. The square design takes up less space and will fit in most refrigerator doors, and every Craftmaster Growler comes with a 1-year warranty. There are 64 and 128-ounce versions available over at craftmastergrowlers.com.
All right, welcome to this month's October's live Q&A session with somebody in the brewing world. This week is a little bit different than usual. Normally, we have somebody from afar tap in to this Facebook group, and they do their own thing, and you guys submit questions in the comments, and they read them out loud and then answer them. This week, we're going to do something different because Brad, my friend from Crone Wolf Brewing Company, is here in town, and so he came over this morning and made us some delicious Bloody Marys at 9:30. And so we're gonna have some fun here. I'm gonna be lobbing the questions that you guys submit at him. I'm gonna let Brad start. I'd also like to introduce all of you to the man you know as the Hop Chronicles guy. This is Paul Amico. He's been doing the Hop Chronicles stuff for a while. Let us know if the volume or anything is weird. We're going to talk loudly, but we are recording this because we might share it with other folks later on down the line. So that's why you see all the mics and such. So here we go. Brad, why don't you introduce yourself? I know you have been on the show before, so people have heard your voice before. They've heard about Crone Wolf. But tell us a little bit about you and your background in brewing and our wonderful relationship.
I started brewing in about 2013, and right away met Marshall and my former boss, Tommy Caprillion at House of Pendragon, a few other guys that have been on here, Sean Wood and Matt Human, and they really gave me the push I needed to start brewing. It wasn't long until I got a job over at House of Pendragon just serving beer. Then went out to the brewery and started helping him brew, started doing small things, washing kegs, that kind of stuff, but ended up brewing there. Then went to another local brewery here in town before we made our jump over to starting Crone Wolf. We opened in, I think, February of this year, February, March. First batch was, January, so we're coming up on a year now.
And you have a little bit of street cred as well, because when you were in the home brewing world, you hadn't even been brewing for very long, and you entered a fairly well entered competition here in town and ended up taking best of show. Was that with a Scotch ale?
Scotch ale. It was really an American barley wine, but
call it what you want.
We put it in as a Scotch ale.
And take the medal. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna let people populate. Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then I'll blow hard for a little bit as well.
Great. I'm Paul Amico. I joined. When did I join Brewlosophy? I think I started doing Hop Chronicles 2 or 3 years ago. I'm a bit of a hop head, so that was a logical choice for me to start making a single hop pale and really dive in on hops. But I've been brewing since about 2007. I was living in Indiana at the time. I'd come from the Bay Area and just couldn't get the kind of beer I wanted in Indiana. So I started brewing beer so that I could have the kind of beer that I wanted to drink. Moved to Fresno in 2013, and as a matter of fact, Brad, I met you when you did the demo on Brewing a Bag, which I can honestly say changed my brewing life.
And then I paired you two up.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, Brad was doing the glass polishing, psychology thing one day when I came in and started grousing about something, and he said, "You should meet Marshall." Yeah,
that's a funny story, because the way he told me is like, hey, because back then, remember, I was like, I had this dream to run a really badass homebrew shop. That was kind of my thing. And he calls me and he's like, you better get on it, man. There's this guy who's coming into the brewery.
Well, and you guys were thinking about the same exact spot too, which was the funny part. And so
yeah. So Paul and I mean, all of us have kind of known each other for almost a decade now. Because you moved
I've
here.
been here in almost 8 years.
Yeah, so about 8 years. That's awesome. So we've been around for a while. I think I've been brewing longer than all of you guys.
Yep.
I started brewing back in 2003, and and so I'll just hang out with whoever brews and become quick friends. I think we're all really, really good friends now. And now with you at Crone Wolf, you kind of I don't want this to feel like an interview because we're just shooting the shit and having a good time doing this thing. But per my observation, you started off making normal beers, and it seemed to me at least that you were doing that to kind of as like proof of concept, like you to prove that you could brew. Mm-hmm. But you, more than anybody I know, you've been the guy who makes weird beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like stepping out of the box a little bit sometimes.
So tell us about your passion for weird. And by weird, I'm just talking about, you were making hazy IPA right as it was started to creep over here onto the West Coast, and then you started making dessert beers, and now you make all kinds of weird stuff professionally.
Yeah, I'm willing to try to make any beer at least once. But yeah, just kind of going out of style guidelines, adding different adjuncts, pairing up flavors. It's kind of a passion, I guess. I like to cook, so I like to do the same thing with my beer. Just pair up different flavors and see what happens.
That's a common thing I hear about people who add a bunch of adjuncts to their beers, that they usually like cooking and they view it the same way, whereas that is not how my brain thinks about beer at all. For me, it's like, in a weird way, I've never, like, there's this weird thing with me where I'm like, what is the simplest thing I can get away with and still make something that tastes really good? And I think that's kind of why I have this penchant for lagers, is they're so clean and simple, and they remind me of like when I was a kid and my stepdad like throwing Budweiser can. Like,
oh yeah.
Like that whole thing. There's something magical about that to me.
Well, you can't hide. No disrespect about that.
Yeah, he's hiding all kinds of stuff.
But you can't hide anything in a lager. Like
no,
that.
And I still, I mean, you guys will vouch for me. We have, over half of our board is probably lagers right now.
Yeah.
So the weird, crazy ones are far and few between. But yeah, I love light beers as much as you guys do.
Yeah, and you slay. I mean, your Oktoberfest beers I'm still drinking the hell out of them. It's so good. That the dry hopped Pilsner is money. So
yeah,
all right, we got
delicious.
a couple of questions flowing in. What's up? Tim Blakely asked this is for you, but Paul, I'm going to let you answer whatever you want as well, because who cares, right? I still got
the folks on
the folks. There's my pretty wife. What style of beer is your favorite to brew, and what's your favorite to drink?
Favorite style of beer to brew?
And to drink.
Probably a lager. We don't have any stuck mashes. The day goes smooth. Yeah, and I like to drink a lot. So generally I go with lower ABV things. So yeah, I would say our Helles is probably my favorite to brew and drink.
What's your favorite to brew and drink?
That's a great question, since really all I brew anymore is Hop Chronicles.
It's true. Simple single hopped beers? Is that
Simple.
what it
I
is?
really do like a really very simple.
Hold on, what happened?
Oh,
Are we still live? Oh boy,
Somebody
we
tell us.
might have screwed the pooch on that one. Let's do this real quick.
it's going to be one of those mornings. So every time I start answering, he's going to.
No, we're good.
Another technical difficulty.
Okay, here, let's mute that. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a logical step where I would take on the Hop Chronicles, because I really do. I'm a hop head. I do love a really nice crisp lager, and as you said, Marshall, it's kind of nostalgic from back in my formative beer drinking years.
Yeah.
And similar to what you said, Brad, lower ABV beers, definitely, because I like beer. I like to drink a lot of different beers, but it's seasonal for me too, because the Oktoberfest beers, I absolutely love Oktoberfest.
Oh yeah,
it's my favorite time of year.
Favorite season, absolutely, for beer especially.
For beer.
Me too. And it's funny because I don't drink Hefeweizen, I don't drink Dunkelweizen, but I love when they're out during Oktoberfest, because all these local breweries are now. You know what you guys did was pretty fun. I love that you guys.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that must have been stressful.
the planning and coordinating was definitely stressful.
Yeah.
Just so everybody else knows, we did 6 collaborations with local breweries for our Oktoberfest. So we had released one on our own. We did a fest beer. We already had our Kolsch and Helles out, and then we did 6 other ones with local breweries, and got to have fun making beer with them.
And did you? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of let those other breweries decide what they wanted to brew with you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
We let them pick the style. As long as they fit Oktoberfest.
And of course, the Jasons from Greyview picked the Dunkelweizen.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Mm-hmm. Oh, great times though. My favorite, I have this thing when it comes to brewing that every beer I brew feels the same. So I don't really have a favorite style to brew, because it all feels the same to me. But my favorite style to drink is, without question, German Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like right after that is Bohemian Pilsner, or whatever they call it now, Czech Pale Lager or whatever. Right. Yeah. Because they just taste so good. All right. Will said, what's your Bloody Mary recipe? If I may. He brought over Clamato and this homemade shaker of things of stuff in it.
Yeah, everything's powderized. So just for consistency's sake and not having to prep a long time to make things. I mean, I'm the guy that kegs my cocktails because it's just easier. But yeah, I don't have the recipe offhand, but I know there's horseradish powder in there instead of actually adding horseradish. The Worcestershire, however you want to say it. I butcher that one every time. It's got some of that powder in there. Salt, pepper, cayenne.
Maybe I should have tried one.
Well, there's plenty left, Paul.
Okay, well, when we're
A
done
few
here,
other
I'll-
things, but nothing I can call off the top of my head. I made it a few months ago, so.
I love having friends who make good Bloody Marys. Tim of the beer review fame, Tim, his wife Michelle, whenever we go camping together, she makes Bloody Marys. She has her own little recipe that she does as well. And they're money. I mean,
I don't like tomato juice, so I don't ever drink them.
Yeah. I have this thing with tomatoes. I used to hate tomatoes, and then I do these weird things mentally where I'm like, I'm going to force myself. I'm going to convince myself to like stuff. And so I went through the last 2 years. I've acclimated myself to raw tomatoes, and I can eat them now. How weird is that? Like they used to make me want to puke, and now I can eat them. Yeah, but I've always liked them with any doctoring. I've liked it. So like tomatoes with balsamic vinegar, like the caprese salad. I've always loved that. Or salsa, I love it. Ketchup, all that. Tomato juice, tomato soup, I love it. But just raw tomatoes. But now I've overcome my childish hump.
Tomatoes are funny that way. Jeff Bridges there was an interview with him, and there was some question that came up about tomatoes, and it captured absolutely what I think about tomatoes, which is I love salsa, I love pico.
Yeah.
I don't like tomatoes on my sandwiches though.
Oh, I love it.
Because they slide apart and then stuff shoots out and it's
Forgetting
messy.
to use your teeth there, Paul, because I think you're supposed to bite through your sandwich.
I do, but it's hard to get good tomatoes are hard to come by. You got to go find a good tomato.
Yeah,
like just
like
going
a
to the
fresh
grocery-
cherry tomato off the vine, like in the middle of summer.
Exactly.
See, I'm not a fan of that. I'll do it now. I'll do it without gagging. But I don't get it. They all taste the same to me.
Well, you could say that about any food.
Yeah,
Grapes.
yeah.
I mean, I guess they got different types of grapes, but we got different types of tomatoes.
Yeah, their questions aren't really coming in yet, and so I'm gonna ask you some questions because I think it's fun. We recently at Brewlosophy did an experiment where we compared. I could pull it up, but I don't want to screw with the camera like I did last time. I believe it was 1 pound or so of lactose sugar, which is a milk sugar that's unfermentable. I forget the style of beer, but I believe it was Steve Thanos who did this one. He put lactose in one, and then the other one had no lactose in it, and tasters could not tell it apart. Or either he or tasters couldn't tell it apart, one or the other. You use lactose in your beers a lot, right?
No, not a lot.
Okay, what's your lactose philosophy? Because I'm curious about this.
Really, just a higher finishing gravity. That's what I'm looking for in it. So if I want a sweeter beer, like we'll use it in Odyssey, our milk stout, and then we'll also use it in Cobblestone, our pie sour.
Have you made it without lactose? And have you
no, I haven't.
I'd be so curious because I've always felt like we talk about dextrin malts, carapils, carafoam, stuff like that. The lower kilned ones, so like the One Love ones, right? That's like carapils. We've done, I think, 2 or 3 experiments where we've been able to show multiple times that. This is one side of what I'm going to say. That even with carapils, you do 10% carapils and the other one just 100% Pilsner malt. They don't taste, look, smell different, right? And I believe in that one, Jake actually did like a side-by-side of the foam quality over time as well, and there was no difference. So, okay, carapils maybe doesn't do exactly what we all think it does. Whatever.
Yeah.
Use it if you want. It costs the same, so who cares? But then we've done mash temperature experiments. Now, the widely held belief about mash temperature is if you mash warm, 100%, you're going to finish with a higher gravity. 100%. We've shown that over and over. But that higher gravity means there's residual long-chain sugars or long-chain dextrins that remain in that wort or in that beer that are perceptible, that are sweet, that will create a sweeter beer. And we have shown over and over and over again that's not the case, right? So then we went and did some just poking around and found that there's actual research out there that shows long-chain dextrins are not perceptibly sweet. So it's an interesting thing for me. I know, right? And so it's an interesting thing for me because lactose as a non-fermentable, you would expect because it is a sugar, but I think it's something like 6 times less sweet than table sugar or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're almost like you're using it for body or mouthfeel, And I just wonder if you couldn't get away with, unless you're using high amounts of it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what percentages you're using?
I want to say we're in the 5 to 10% range, at least on cobblestone. I think probably closer to 5, but
Yeah, that's low.
yeah.
I'd just be curious. I don't know. Lactose.
Maybe we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot. The old Marshall shot, you know what I mean? I've been doing that my whole life, dude.
Oh my God. That's the first time I can't believe that's the first time I've heard that.
Oh God, yeah. Will Level asks, "What's your favorite Smash combo?" That's like your go-to, bro. Everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, my go-to, I use the Hop Chronicles recipe in single malt, smash combo. Okay,
That's just so basically take away the Vienna. We do
Take away the Vienna.
90-10 pale malt Vienna or pale or Pilsner malt.
I don't know that I've done a lot of that. I'm not sure that I've done that ever.
Really.
Oh,
I've got a favorite.
I mean, and mine would most likely be Pilsner malt and Citra. I would do Pilsner malt with Citra hops.
I'd probably say Two-Row and Azaka.
Oh, you're a big fan of Azaka, that Peachio thing. Yeah, I get pineapple and peach. Yeah, that's what I get from it too. I've done an Azaka smash before. My favorite would have to be Pilsner malt and Czech Sods, because that's just a Bohemian Pilsner.
There you go.
It's really good. But the one that I've made, I think, to get to Will's question, that I've loved was Maris Otter, which we've done an experiment on that showing that it really is different than Pale Two-Row. I did Maris Otter and Galaxy. Oh, it was bomb, dude. It was so good. So,
it's so funny because I go back through and I used to have these conversations with Marshall where I would talk about a beer that we made for Brewlosophy, and he didn't remember it. He's like, I don't remember that beer.
Oh, dude.
And I was like, how can you do this? I remember almost every beer I make. Now that I've started brewing for Brewlosophy and I'm doing 2 a month, I can't remember. I can't tell you what we've done. We'd have to go back and look, and then what it was like if it was some weird hop. So,
yeah, that's the. I was looking at our list of experiments. We've published over 800 articles at this point. 800.
Wow,
that's crazy to me. And just the experiments I think we're approaching 400 or
that's
something.
7 in the 7 years, because you started in 14.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, 2014. And we started doing the weekly thing pretty soon after getting into 2014. And you've been around for the whole thing. I mean, yeah. And
back when you ate that yeast packet.
Oh, God.
Is that your first one of
the
your first
stupid things
videos,
that I did. That was remember when I did like a video series thing? Yeah. And one of the things that actually got picked up by Thrillist was me eating. They said that Jim Cook from Sam Adams, in the way that he would avoid getting drunk, which I think we've all mastered that, like looking like you're not drunk. But the way that he would avoid it is he would eat a Red Star yeast packet mixed in with yogurt. And so it's on the internet. You can go look and it's like stupid guy. And then I gave an update the next day and oh man, the gas. I mean, it's active yeast. It's fermenting in your stomach. It was awful.
I bet.
Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. So, all right. Let's see. Brewing Z says, looks like you guys make several beers. I'm imagining you're on their website right now, which means you've seen their beautiful can work, their artwork. What are your best sellers? That's a good question. Also, are brown ales making a comeback? Oh, baby.
I wish brown ales would make a comeback. But our brown ale that we just released yesterday, actually, we did it once before, and a lot of people were requesting it. So, fingers crossed. Yeah, I hope so, because I like it.
Keep making it.
I enjoy
that is
a good
really
brown ale,
good.
so. As for our best sellers, it kind of differs week to week. But generally, I would say the top 4 beers would be our Stargazer, which is our New England IPA. But some weeks, our West Coast IPA is doing better than that.
Lucidity?
Lucidity, yeah. So those are the 2 on the IPA side. So I'm hoping West Coast making a comeback. And then on the light beers, I would love to say Maya is normally first, but it's actually Nova, which is our vanilla blonde. So
that's your biggest seller.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Sometimes Nova would sell more than the IPAs.
But do you, because everybody loved that when you did was it Coco Nova on
coconut vanilla blonde.
Nitro?
Yeah.
That was I knew so many people that I actually never had it.
You make the weirdest beers, dude. I mean, my brain doesn't work that way. But I remember when it was on tap and I had, I don't worry, I tasted it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't order a pint of it, but it was so good,
Yeah.
And then you've got, can we talk about the one you got in the tank that we tasted last night?
Which one?
The
Oh yeah.
Pumpkin one, yeah.
Yeah.
So you took a spin off of a standard.
Yep, our golden stout, which has coffee, vanilla, and cocoa nibs in it, and then we did a pumpkin spice version. We'll be releasing hopefully next week.
Yeah. Are you going to call it basic? No, never mind.
We'll figure out.
Just
something.
call it basic.
Yeah,
It's really good. I'm not a fan of spiced beers, but again, Brad's art is it's really tasty.
It's not over the top pumpkin.
no.
There's no pumpkin. It's just
pumpkin spice.
It's just pumpkin
Right,
spice.
but I meant in that pumpkin flavor.
Yeah.
So pumpkin beers are. Well, I'm going to reserve my.
I feel no. You tell it. I feel like if the spicing is overdone, it numbs your tongue, which is a nutmeg thing. I know that, and it is terrible. And that's not what I got.
No, not at all. It was very subtle, and I could see doing having some of that, but they're just too sweet.
Ugh, God, I know.
Yeah, they're just too sweet for me.
Okay, more questions coming in. Natalie, Mixta says, is the Pilsner style in its various iterations making a comeback due to hazy IPA fatigue? Ooh, we all have opinions on that one.
I think so. Everybody I've talked to, my brother's a good example. His taste buds are always a few years behind mine, and so he's still been big on hazy IPAs. And then he finally hit him the other day. He's like, "I'm not drinking IPAs anymore. Now I just want to go back to lagers." And I was like, "You've come full circle." And but I've heard that from a lot of other people. So I've also heard the hazy sales dropping off at our local can shop. West Coast are making a comeback there, but also just well-made pilsners, or any light lager.
I wonder if that's due to people getting into the game and then learning to appreciate the various aspects of it as opposed to, just the one thing. I mean, you could say that about anything.
Yeah.
Once you get kind of a taste of the thing that you love and the thing that brought you in, it gets old, but then you learn to appreciate the delicacies of brewing beer.
Yeah,
And
the subtleties.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's no other style, or I guess family of styles that, I don't know, prove a brewer's worth really.
Yeah.
Than a good lager, Yeah.
So. Well, and what's interesting, and the hazy IPA reference, which is funny because it's a trend I'm personally glad to see sort of get shoved off in a corner, But I was just over at our friend's liquor store, whose best can selection in town, and he's doing a really great stuff. His whiskey selection's really amping up, and they're doing a lot of investment as just how much of that dessert. Mm-hmm. The dessert beers and those pie sours and all the crazy,
slushy sours,
slushies, what that seems to have taken over that hazy thing.
Yeah. I think I hope more people are finding their ways to the lighter beers, the lagers, and appreciating what's going into it. But I think that hazy crowd is just going to switch to something else that's over the top,
so do I.
Slushy sours or all those other styles that are just packed with flavor. And I think there's a time for each of those, but 99% of the time I want something light.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I think makes Krone Wolf very successful, which we know it's very successful already. But is having somebody like you who can say, I have this love of the simple classic styles, but it's cool that other people love. If I say something like you just said publicly, hazy IPA, then everybody just presumes I hate hazy IPA.
Yeah.
I ordered one last night. I had a hazy pale ale last night. I don't. It's just I don't want it to I don't want 15 versions of that and no lager on tap. But that's not a hateful thing.
No.
I've become known as the guy who hates. It used to be IPA in general, which blows my mind that people would presume that. But you just walk into Krone Wolf and you see the menagerie of different styles on the board, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that is because you appreciate the fact that you want to bring people in, and that to me is what starts them on that path of appreciating maybe different styles. Yeah, I agree with you. There is going to be the people who just want over the top fun whale beers or whatever, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Brew them for them. One of the beers that you made that I never would have expected I would have loved as much as I did was it Avenoir?
Oh yeah,
it was so good. It was like a pineapple slushy.
Yeah, it was like a Dole Whip slushy sour. It wasn't all chunky like some of the other ones
so
are, but
good.
It was over the top fruit. Yeah. But
and then we would blend it with like a Berliner Weiss that you had on tap or something like that. And
you guys might have blended it.
I was doing some weird shit.
The blend, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Oh man, I loved that beer, Avenoir. And then somebody emailed me. I should have pulled this up. Somebody emailed me about a. Did you guys get that from some book?
The name Avanoir? Who named it? Was it Spencer?
Spencer, yeah.
So I think because
If it were me, it would have been like sour number 5.
Yeah.
Sour number, whatever number would have been on. I hate
creative
naming
side.
beers, yeah.
let's see. Tim Blakely asked, do you like to use brown malt in your brown ales?
I've actually never used brown malt. Not even once.
Nor have I.
So I've used it before, and I don't like it. To me, and maybe I just used too much. I think it was like 5% of the grist. And it just imparted this kind of, sometimes you when I use the word sour, I'm not talking about tart, but kind of that like burnt sour flavor that you get if you bite off the end of a piece of meat on the smoker type of thing, where you're like, ooh. That's what it contributed to this beer that I made. And I think I used it in like a mild ale or something like that. And yeah, it just didn't float my boat. To me, so you put Sonder on yesterday,
Yes.
or we had Sonder yesterday. The new batch is on now. And it is, in my opinion, it tastes better than the first batch, but I think that's a hop issue. Something with a hopping. The nice thing about the batch that you put on yesterday is it has that hop character. It tastes American, if you will. It's got that classic C hop character to me, but it doesn't overwhelm that rich, chocolatey, like velvet chocolate / coffee nutty thing that you get in a classic normal brown ale that doesn't have all the hops. So it's almost like the hops amplify the beer overall. Plus it's 7% alcohol, which I mean, that's good job on that. But yeah, that explains your headache today. I know.
Yeah, whoa, I didn't even realize that. That's
6.9, but
I find it
sorry.
right.
Yeah.
I find it interesting the way you're describing this, because we've not had a deep conversation about black IPA, which is one of my favorite styles.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
you mean an American stout?
A hoppy
Come
American
on,
stout.
Brad.
Or a
Of all
Cascadian,
people.
a Cascadian Dark, which is different than a black IPA, by the way. And so I find it funny because I know that's a style that I believe we've talked
I don't
about.
like it. Yeah.
You don't like it. And or as my cousin would say, it's a hoppy porter. That's
I think if it's done right, it's not a hoppy porter.
right.
I've had some that are done right that I'm like, just like a lot of hazy IPA. It's like, I could drink that. I would never order a full pint of it. It just doesn't.
Tommy does a really good job on Mordred.
Yeah, Mordred's
Yes.
very good.
It is very good.
Scott Bailey locally years ago made a black IPA that I thought was really fantastic, and then obviously Firestone Walker.
Jack.
Wookiee
that,
Jack, which-
I could drink. I love that beer actually. Yeah,
That beer's fantastic.
Wookiee Jack, but that's
Rye.
a
It's
rye. Yeah, that's
Yes.
not really, that doesn't fit the Cascadian Dark Ale
No.
or black IPA thing. So
No, I'm sitting here with these questions like, what's your favorite style? I love rye IPA.
I love
And so
it too.
that's,
Oh,
it's,
man. We don't brew with rye enough.
No, we don't.
We should do a rye experiment.
Well, because we
we've done
want one of the times we got grain delivered. You asked what we wanted, and I was like, let's get a bag of rye, and then I was like, I don't know if we're going to use it that much and everything,
Yeah.
and then we should have done it.
Yeah,
we
I
should,
know.
just to have it around.
I know. I love rye too in beers,
Yeah.
and it's not spicy. Damn it, people. Rye, in my experience, yeah, we have done a rye experiment because what you can tell from a rye beer, did the camera just go off? Is that it's more viscous. That's what I experience. Is it adds this unctuousness to a beer, and it tastes doughy. But people associate rye with caraway. I think.
Right. Yeah,
That's my theory.
right. Yeah.
And
Because of rye bread.
It's because of rye bread. And so they're like, oh, there's rye in this beer. It's spicy. Bro, I don't think so. That's my controversial opinion of the day. Next question comes from Brewing Z again. He says, have you embraced the hard seltzer craze? He sure
Yes.
has. Or did you cry a little when you made the first one?
I actually did probably cry a little bit when I made the first one, but it's not because I was upset about making it. It just didn't come out like I wanted it to. We used extract on the first one, and I was not a fan. There were people that loved it, but that wasn't what I wanted in a seltzer. So going forward with the seltzers, which is probably the last 4 weeks has been our top seller, like majorly. We just decided to make them our way. So we generally use real fruit. We have Dark Horse on right now, which is boysenberry and vanilla. And when we don't have it on, people are hitting us up every single day for it. We'll post something about this food truck's here today, and then we'll get a comment. Is Katy Berry going to be on? Or Dark Horse. Katy Berry was the original name. But yeah, so we just decided to make them our way so they're not clear. It's real fruit. They're packed with flavor. They are not low calorie at all. Not low sugar.
These ain't 100 calorie White
but
Claws by any means.
people seem to like the way we're doing them, at least at our spot. So we'll keep doing them that way.
Yeah, I mean, Laura had 2 or 3 of them last night, I think. My wife.
I think
She liked
it helps and I really love that you guys are doing this because it helps. I serve a lot of Hop Chronicles at Crow and Wolf, and I hear a lot from a lot of people, particularly who are drinking those seltzers, like, I don't like beer, or I can't have beer.
Yeah.
And so, I'll ask them to do an evaluation anyway, or I'll give somebody a sample of a Hop Chronicles, and they're like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Because they really do prefer it. So it gives people the ability to invite more friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they get to stay there longer, Maybe their significant other doesn't like beer, but they will drink a seltzer, so you can keep both of them in a seat for a little bit longer, or at least make one of them, the other one enjoy their night. So that was kind of the goal with seltzers. Is we realized there was a need for them, so give it a shot and do it our own way. So
yeah, and you have more than just Dark Horse on. There's other stuff as well, other seltzers and whatnot. That you do some funky stuff, bro. I was gonna say I've yet to make a seltzer, but I want to, because Laura loves seltzer. My wife's a seltzer fan. She doesn't drink beer, and so I bought activated charcoal. My understanding is you take your sugar water, which you just dissolve a little bit of the amount of sugar you need in some water, boil it, and then add it to cold water is what I've heard. So now you've got your whatever 1050 OG, whatever you need it to be. You ferment it out, and then when it's done fermenting, you just pour in some of this like nasty powdery activated charcoal, and something about that filters.
Yeah, it apparently absorbs the off flavors and aroma.
Yep.
We use a liquid version of it from AEB. We had Federico a while ago. But they sell a liquid charcoal. So it's much easier to use.
So that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Are you
activated charcoal is a mess.
It is crazy, dude. Yeah.
And we'll generally add that when we add our Biofine to clear up the seltzer. We've played around with it in the past and doing it through fermentation, but we haven't been able to do a side by side yet. So
I believe when you made your first couple of seltzers, you weren't doing that, right?
No, we've completely changed our process.
Yeah, because I remember tasting them and having that conversation, like, that weird flavor?
It's like a sake flavor and aroma.
It's earthy and just weird. It's yeasty, really. It is. And I remember, like, will the fruiting take that away? And it did. It covered it up. But I want to be able to
you have to taste the base. It's the whole key is dilution of your seltzer. So building we build about a 15 to 16% seltzer, and then you cut it with water. And then we cut it in thirds. So you're essentially taking away a lot of that aroma and flavor. And
then just diluting the alcohol out so that you get the ABV that you want. What ABV do you shoot for in your seltzers?
We're seeing how high we can take the base, but it's been anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
So I'm interested. I'll ask one of our treatment experts at work at my company why because we do in drinking water treatment we use activated carbon and to remove organics and other off flavors and things to polish drinking water, right? So it's similar compounds that you see in surface water or when you're getting rid of stuff. So I'll see if we can get somebody from the drinking water. I'll get some info about what we might expect to see in because yeast too. I mean, they produce off.
Well, they produce byproducts. Exactly. We call them off flavors because we don't want them in our beer.
Right.
But I view like yeast off flavors as weeds. Somebody told me one time a weed is just a plant that you don't want growing where it's at.
Exactly.
It's actually not a weed. But that's off flavors as well. For a lot of people, you brew a Pilsner and it has English esters. Now that's off flavor, but in an English beer, it's not, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing with seltzers. To me, I've always had this issue with that earthy thing. So Andy Carter, Brewlosophy guy, sent me, I think, an initial batch of seltzer that he made, a year and a half ago. One that was flavored and the other one that was just straight fermented water. And my comment to him was, it has that earthy thing that it's so gross to me. And it's not even that offensive, but my brain notices it, and it's just like tomatoes, and I can't let it go.
Well, I mean, I as you're sitting here talking, I'm thinking about like why you don't wear white pants after Labor Day or something like that. Is this they get dirty? It's like a seltzer is you can't hide anything.
Yeah.
It's like a blank canvas, and if any little thing gets on it, you're like, well, what's that?
Yeah.
So.
All right, now we've started a seltzer thing here. Will also asks, what's your go-to store-bought beer?
Miller Lite
Miller Lite.
Coors Original.
They
Yep.
taste so similar to me. I've done a triangle with them, and I mean, I'll admit I wasn't totally sober at the time, but
Yeah.
I couldn't tell them apart.
I can tell a little bit, but it's I like both of those beers, and then recently I threw PBR into the mix because it's very similar as well.
Hipster
to those
freaking
three.
Paul the hipster.
Yeah.
I love PBR too, and Rainier beer, but we can't get that down.
But
here,
it's because
so.
the Siren in Morro Bay has PBR in cans for like $3. So
Yeah, it's so cheap, dude.
It's so cheap.
We had a when I was going to school in Bellingham, Washington. There was this I forget. I think it was called the Horseshoe Bar or something like that. And on Wednesdays, it was $1 pitchers of PBR. $1, dude. And we'd go there and play pool. It was more expensive to play pool than to drink a freaking pitcher of beer.
Yep.
$1. We'd get out of there for $7 or $8.
Wow.
3 dudes. Yeah, it was awesome. PBR, good stuff. I'm a Miller Lite guy, obviously.
Yeah.
We'll be drinking some later today. Kevin Brand asks, I can't get past the earthy taste of seltzers. I just made flavored vodka tonics if I'm looking for a seltzer. Yeah, that was I believe the first seltzer article that we wrote for Brewlosophy.com was the one that I did where I bought flavor extracts from more beer and blended a couple different berry ones and added a bunch of vodka and then water and carbonated it, and it was good.
Yeah.
I used that recipe, and my friend from SAC, she's got a Meyer lemon tree. Remember that? Did you?
Oh,
have that
yeah.
Meyer
Yeah,
lemon
it was
seltzer
very
that
good.
I did. It was that same recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to make it clean.
You just can't do
Unfortunately,
that.
we can't. We don't have the licensing to use liquor in our product, so
That is such a weird.
we can only
Because booze is booze. Like whatever.
Yeah.
I get it. I get that there needs to be regulation, but my goodness, if you're diluting vodka down or Everclear down, who gives a? Anyways, whatever. So yeah, seltzers, man. We spent some time on that. I like them. I mean, that's the thing. People, I get questions about seltzers via email weekly, at least, and I like them. I think they're good. I jumped onto the White Claw bandwagon as soon as I heard about White Claw.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy them. When we're camping, I'll crack a few open, and we always have White Claw on us. My wife does not like Truly, and her argument against Truly and her favor of White Claw is because of that earthy taste.
Yeah.
And I get it in Truly. The only Truly that I've had that I think is absolutely delicious is their pineapple one. But now that White Claw makes a pineapple one, I just drink that one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we have this thing all the time, and you make fun of me all the time because I'm boring hippie or whatever. But I drink plain. I drink plain sparkling water. I don't like flavored things. I don't like sweet things. I don't like.
Yeah.
So for me, that whole thing about have you had this smoothie sour? And I'm like, I don't drink smoothies.
Yeah.
I don't like smoothies.
Don't hate on Jamba Juice, man.
I'm not hating. I said I don't. My preference. Preference is what is. Let's talk.
Whatever. You're being
preference?
judgmental. I could tell.
Look at all these peasants.
These minions. Yeah. The what's your favorite flavor of White Claw? Do you have one?
I normally stick with if I'm gonna have like a store bought salsa like that, I go with the the Natty Light ones.
Oh, those are awful.
No.
You like the tart stuff, right? Because aren't those like strawberry lime
They
or
have
something?
Aloha Beaches and Catalina Lime Mixer.
The Catalina lime
Yeah.
mixer is the one I had. Oh, I didn't like
Aloha Beaches is pretty good.
it. I already take
And it's
Prilosec
nice
every
because they're
morning.
like 30% cheaper than White Claws.
They are cheap. Yeah. Oh my God, White Claw's expensive.
Yeah.
You get we have a grocer here called Food for Less, which is like, Ralph's or Save Mart's second tier,
Right.
You would think that stuff would be cheap. It is $18 for a freaking 12 pack.
Yeah.
That's
Might as well
crazy.
just go buy a bottle of vodka,
Yep.
throw it in a homebrew keg.
Costco, $12
Yeah.
bottle of vodka.
Topo Chico is the same one. Same way with the Topo, of course. That's the hipster, sparkling water,
Sparkling water,
right?
yeah. It's good, though, yeah.
And it was $22 for 12, I think.
Yeah,
It was
wild.
like-
Wow.
Somebody's making some cash.
Yeah.
Damn. Let's see. Tom Fontes says +1 on sparkling water. Yeah, we drink the hell out of some sparkling water, don't we? Yeah. That's my brew day. I don't drink beer when I brew anymore. I drink sparkling water, unless I'm brewing past noon. Then it's beer. Let's see here. Can commercial breweries use tinctures for flavoring? Will Lovell asks.
I'm not sure on that. I've never used a tincture, so.
I think you can.
Yeah.
I believe it was Drew Beecham I was talking to about this, and he was saying he knows much more about the legalities of stuff than I do, or whoever it was I was talking to. And I believe if you are using it as a flavorant, it's kind of like if you were to use
pure vanilla extract, which is alcohol in it as well, right?
Yeah.
You can get away with using that because you're not using it for the alcohol.
Yeah.
The tincture is for the flavor. That's what I mean about the regulation is a weird one.
It's the old prohibition weirdness, what came after.
You know what, Will? I bet that's probably more appropriate to look up per state.
Right.
Because every state is regulated.
Yeah, well, there's
differently.
even states where you got to put grain in your seltzer. Like California is one of those ones where you can use just sugar, but if it's Florida or was Florida where you had to use like actual grain in your seltzer.
That's not a seltzer.
If you're a brewer, probably because you're a brewer, because you're making a malted beverage, and the way that the liquor laws are written.
But it was like
so
4
weird.
years ago
It's
the
weird.
governor changed in the writing in that you can use pure sugar, but
That's
you can't
weird.
use honey.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
on where your sugar comes from.
So stupid.
Yeah,
I know.
this is the laws.
It's weird.
We'll be right back with more Q&A with Brad Gaines from Crow and Wolf Brewing Company. After a long brew day, the last thing I want to do is waste more time chilling wort. I've tried so many different options, and ultimately I settled on the super efficient immersion chillers made by Jaded Brewing. With the King Cobra and Hydra, I'm able to chill my entire batch of wort from boiling to just a few degrees above groundwater temperature in as little as 6 minutes. If an immersion chiller is right for your brewery, then do yourself a favor and check out all of the rad options Jaded Brewing has to offer at jadedbrewing.com, and be sure to let them know Brewlosophy sent you. There's no denying that stainless steel is the best material for brewing equipment, and Delta Brewing Systems offers some of the lowest prices on high-quality stainless gear, like the Firm Tank, which in addition to holding 8 gallons or 30 liters of wort, comes with a domed lid to even further reduce the chances of a messy blow-off. Plus, it can hold up to 4 psi of pressure for closed transfers. Delta Brewing Systems also has their own line of brew kettles, as well as one of the lowest-priced all-in-one electric brewing systems out there, and their prices are shockingly low. If you're in the market for legit stainless gear that won't break the bank, do yourself a favor and head over to deltabrewingsystems.com today. Family-owned Atlantic Brew Supply is the largest homebrew shop in the Southeast. No gimmicks, no multinational corporate overlords, and no BS. They offer exclusive malts, yeast, and more from local artisans, as well as award-winning recipe kits. They also sell professional brewing gear and cask equipment from sister companies ABS Commercial and Cask Supply. Most ingredients are available by the ounce, plus Atlantic Brew Supply has an on-site calculator to help you craft your best brew. Orders are processed same day, and 2-day shipping is guaranteed for East Coast customers. Get 15% off your first order using promo code BREWPOD. That's BRUPOD at AtlanticBrewSupply.com. The brew in a bag method has blown up over the last few years, and in that time, it's become very clear that not all bags are created equal. For the best BIAB experience, you have got to go with the Brew Bag. Made from high-quality, food-safe polyester, the Brew Bag is available in both 210 micron for standard brew in a bag, as well as 400 micron, which works beautifully for all-in-one recirculating systems. I've been a Brew Bag user for years and wouldn't brew without it. Head over to brewinabag.com to get the fabric filter that works for you, and use promo code TBP17 at checkout to receive a discount. Again, that's brewinabag.com. As every brewer knows, the best beer requires the best hops, which Yakima Valley Hops provides fresh from the source to brewers around the world, carrying everything from classics like Cascade to modern favorites like Galaxy and Mosaic, as well as other ingredients and gear. Yakima Valley Hops has it all. And don't forget to check out their new podcast, The Late Edition, where the YVH crew goes into depth on our favorite plant with industry experts. Head over to YakimaValleyHops.com now to see all they have to offer, and subscribe to The Late Edition wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Bruin Z says, I'm looking for a house lager strain for my Munich Dunkel. Any suggestions? What are you using in Maya?
Well, I think Maya's, we've used like 3 or 4 different yeasts now. I'm always on the hunt for different lager yeast.
You know what I'm going to say.
Previously, we were using Bairn from, can I say their name? I'm just kidding. From Omega, which I think is the same as Augustiner.
Yeah, that's the L17 from Imperial Yeast.
Yeah, and we love that. That's great, but I just wanted to play around with some different stuff. So I think this latest batch, we actually use Mexican lager yeast on it just for the clearing time.
It's such a solid strain.
And just to keep one house lager strain, because we also got Lobo, our Mexican lager, or international pale lager, as you like to call it. But then we also played with, it's a place called Andiques from Propagate Labs.
Okay.
And that one we really like too. We actually did that on the Fest beer Dry Hop Pills, Hellesbach, Vienna. We used it for all our lagers for Oktoberfest.
Oh, they're all money too. Yeah.
Was the Fest beer yours?
Yes.
Okay, because that wasn't a cut. It was your beer.
Yeah. That was one we did by ourselves.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Munich Dunkel, and my favorite lager strain that I've used in any beer is L17 Harvest, which is the Augustiner strain. I would believe it was sourced from Augustiner, and I believe Y Yeast might have a seasonal version, a seasonal strain of theirs is the Augustiner. I don't think they have it on standard, and then I don't know if any other labs besides Omega and Imperial offer that strain. I think
it's so clean, and you could start it out warm. Like I know we started at like 62 degrees, 63, just to get yeast growth going.
I just keep it there.
I just drop it down. I'll drop it down to 55. Let it roll once. Give it like 2 days. But yeah,
I keep it at 66, and I'm brewing small batches.
Weren't we getting? Was it Harvest that we were? What were we using for Hop Chronicles for a while, and we switched back to Global because
we switched back to Flagship.
Flagship. Because we were getting some apple and pear.
Yeah, that was the Kolsch strain. Yeah, that was Dieter, and we did that a few times. And you expect to get some esters out of, but I think that yeast mixed with the hopping rates that we used for the Hop Chronicles, it was kind of amplified some of that melon and apple pear stuff. And you want that out of the way. And Flagship is just such a clean. That's the Chico strain.
Okay,
it's such a clean, fermenting yeast. So I would highly recommend. Who asked that one about the yeast? Let's see, Brewing Z. Try L17 or whatever version of Augustiner you can find, but L17 Harvest from Imperial Yeast. To me, the sign of an awesome lager yeast is when that glass is empty and you set it down for, it starts to warm up. It's empty, but you got a little bit left in the bottom. It starts to warm up a little and you go to smell it. This sounds crazy, but it smells like my stepdad's old beer cans. Like I want that. I want it to smell like a lager beer. And that's what I get from L17, but it tastes and smells that way the whole way down. It's so incredibly good. I'm not talking about the recycle bin. I'm talking about like a freshly finished can of Budweiser or whatever it is. And it's so money. Try it. I stand by that. Will says, try making a Citra Amarillo hop water. Best flavored water out there. So that's something Jake did one time, is the hop water thing, and he loved it. I
got to go look that up. I want to try to.
I haven't tried hop water, but
I have so much leftover hops from the Hop Chronicles that I need to start doing stuff like that doesn't require a brew day because I travel so much and I don't have a ton of time.
Yeah.
So I need to start doing stuff like the Meyer lemon. I can't wait. Those lemons will be around in another month or so, and January I think is when the Meyer lemons.
Citra Amarillo is a rad blend though.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, that was my original cider that I was making. That was Citra Amarillo.
Those dry hop ciders.
Yeah.
Dry hop.
Man,
cider,
dry hop cider is so. Yeah. If you like hard cider, dry hop a hard cider with some Citra and Amarillo. Didn't Wes do one with Mosaic or something like that? Somebody did one with Mosaic, I believe. Yeah. Oh, and that was money as well. Oh, I would never have guessed that dry hopping a hard cider.
It's so good. Yeah,
I know. Let's see here. Will Lovell says liquor beer laws are dumb. Amen.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah,
it's overregulated. It's overregulated, and the licensing and just to be able to do your thing, and it just blows my mind.
There's a few laws that just don't really make too much sense, and
they do, and
I
will go. No, I'll say the thing, and it's completely because of huge corporations. Absolutely,
it's money.
It has to do with money.
All right, our good friend Matt Clay. What up, Matt? He says, late to the party. Pardon if this has already been asked. For us in flyover country that hear Marshall constantly talking about your beer, any chance of distribution or shipping?
I wish.
Regulation
again. Yeah. California won't let us ship past state lines. So unless we had a distributor to send it out, which we don't right now, we're self-distributing. We can't send it out.
But other people can.
Yep.
If you're really nice to us.
Yep.
Matt, I am starting to sport some
I can say
sexy
this.
salt and pepper hair.
I can say this. Five cans of Crow and Wolf is a flat rate shipping at around $24, I think, to Indiana.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Yeah.
I'm an authority on that right now.
People always ask me, people always ask me like, how do you, they want to send beers in for review, for the 1 minute beer review.
I've never shipped beer before. How do I ship to you? I'm like, well, go get a box. But that's illegal. Well, it's
not.
one of those weird. It technically is.
Oh, is
it? Yeah, but here's the thing.
I do a lot of things that are probably technically illegal, and I'm like, no,
nobody cares about. I shipped some beers to James Spencer of Basic Brewing Radio 4 or 5 years ago, and he sends me a text and he's like, dude, the beer broke. One of the bottles broke, and I was like, oh crap, did they? And he's like, no, they still delivered it. A beer, like beer dripping from the flat rate box, smelled like beer, still delivered it. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, you got to think every brewery, I mean, not every brewery, but most breweries send all their beers out to GABF. Those all get there by USPS, FedEx.
Yeah.
Go in the mail.
UPS. Yeah. Exactly.
So
exactly. So
it happens.
So yeah, but Matt, if hit me up, I can figure out a way to get you some Crown Wolf, some of their crazy beers. Matt also, the sexy salt and pepper. I'm not sure how sexy it is, but my hair's getting a little long here. Do something about it. Matt also asks, when I put Laurel and Amarillo together, I get straight linalool, fruity pebbles. I think I like it.
I got to try that combo.
Yeah,
I really, really like Laurel.
So do I. Yeah. That's a great hop.
That's my pale lager recipe go-to is Laurel.
I think Jake has been using Laurel for most of his lagers as well. And I did the Hop Chronicles on that one, and I was just blown away by how tasty that one was. Yeah, that was years ago. But
we should do it again.
Laurel, we should. Again, we should do another. Yeah, this new crop here. I'll pick some up. Yeah, that'll be good.
Do some Talus again. That was my favorite you guys have done so far.
Oh, that Talus was so money.
I wonder if I have any of that left over.
You have the hops left over.
I know I have the hops left over.
Yeah. Talus was money. That was like the orange rind.
Yeah, and I could smell it from like out of Paul's cup from 4 feet away. It was maybe it was 6 feet at that time. I think we were social distancing.
Yeah, we probably should. Yeah,
6 feet.
I still have the 6 foot button. That Laura gave me. 6 feet.
What's been your favorite Hop Chronicles so far?
Citra Lupamax.
Yeah. Oh God.
No doubt. I mean, Citra
Was that
Lupamax.
the first Lupamax one you did?
It was the first Lupamax one I did, and I'm
I'm
not sure how much anybody got because I brewed it right before the pandemic started, and we couldn't do anything.
And you were like, hell out of it.
Yeah. You were like, we can't serve this.
Yeah.
So I think we redid it though.
Like 3 months later.
Yeah, 3 months later, by far.
Did you have a keg of that at your house?
Yeah, that's
okay.
He dropped it off at my place.
I think it was the Lupamax Mosaic was the first one.
That's the one. That was the first Lupamax Mosaic that we did and collected data on.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And it was later, and we waited on Mosaic so that we could serve it because the Citra, I just ended up like most people at the beginning of the pandemic. I just got drunk every day, and so I think I went through that keg of Citra in no joke. I think it was like 5 or 6 days.
Man, you put some vodka in this Bloody Mary.
Oh, it's not much.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Step out and get another beer since I'm not.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish these 2 things I'm drinking here too. I wanted to ask before we move on to the next question. Can we talk a little bit about your love of Lupamax? It sounds like the Hop Chronicles, what we did, and because you do most of the Hop Chronicles because we collect data at Crown Wolf.
Yeah.
You loved it.
Yeah. We started using it. We have a double hazy IPA called Velvet Thunder. That's 100% Lupamax Mosaic, and it completely changed the beer.
It's so good too. Yeah.
We didn't cut our dry hopping rate. We just kept it the same. So we're just
that's what I do.
Yeah. And then Lucidity is also 100% Lupamax, which is our West Coast IPA. That one's Citra, Mosaic, and Equinox.
It's so good. I drank 2 of those last night.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
we got
good.
a can out there. But then, Stargazer, we're starting to. I think Stargazer is about a third Lupamax right now. We haven't gone full Lupamax on that one, but
so you said that you didn't, because Haas, who produces Lupamax, among many other cool things, their recommendation is use 70% what you would a normal T90 hop. Okay, fine. But what I'm hearing more and more and more is like is there's something special about Lupamax that if you use it at the same hopping rates, it's not, there's this talk about a dry hop saturation point and all of that. You get this, it reminds me of drinking, Pliny the Elder at Russian River 10 years ago when I went there. It's this like sticky, hoppy thing. It's so good. I have a red ale on, red IPA on out in the garage that we can drink some later, and it's all Lupomax as well.
Okay.
2 or 3 different Lupomax ones. And once you get past the malt, it's that same Lupomax pungency that never goes away. I just cleaned out the Equinaut Lupomax keg that I had. It'd been sitting in my kegerator empty for the last 3 weeks, and I needed a keg of new beer. And so I go and I clean it out, and I open the thing up, and it was still just like poof.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to fade. And this is not an advertisement for Lupomax, but it doesn't seem to fade like other hops do in my experience.
Can I advertise for Lupomax?
I know I would too.
So
give me a Lupomax shirt.
One of the things that I will say, and even with, because we had this discussion when we first started doing it, and I told you, I said I didn't change the recipe because I'm using Lupomax. The one time I think I did, and I wasn't happy with the result, so I went back to going the way we always make it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I like about it is even at those hopping rates, the one thing I'll note is the alpha is higher on all the Lupomax. So I just calculate it just like I do always, but then I keep the 2-minute addition and the dry hop the same, and it clears up faster. It really does. It clears up faster than
I love it
for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If I can't wait till they offer everything in Lupomax because that's all I'll use, and I don't care what style it is. I want a Fuggles Lupomax. I want a Tettnanger is my favorite noble hop. I want that in Lupomax. I love it. It's so good. Yeah.
Right.
And the way it dissolves in the wort is different. It doesn't. You don't have as much. Obviously, you don't have as much vegetal matter, and so you're able to whirlpool more out into the cone and all that. It's great stuff. Here's a wonderful question for you from Nick Golden. He says, any experience with Kvike at the commercial scale? I'm a huge fan of Lutra.
Yeah, I like. We use a lot of that. We've been using it for maybe 4 or 5 years now.
Since before Crow and Wolf, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we use a lot of the Voss isolate. Because Voss is normally 3 strains of Kvike. But the Stranda is what we use from Propagate, which is the same as Omega's Voss.
Okay.
Most other Vosses, like I said, 3 different strains. This one's that single isolate. We use that. Oslo, Lutra. Propagate has, I think, about 20 or 25 different strains.
Of Kvike?
Yeah.
Damn.
They have the largest bank of strains.
What do you use
for
that
them.
in? What beers?
It's in Stargazer and Velvet Thunder. Okay. So our hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
Huh.
You were even there. Remember we tried.
I was wondering if you were gonna bring this up.
Marshall's been like a huge proponent of just
normal
not
yeast.
use it. Use normal yeast, whatever that is. And so we did a batch of our New England IPA with 1318, and he agreed. He liked the Kvike one better.
Well, what happened? And I have no qualms admitting when I'm wrong. And I had been advocating for you guys to brew. What beer was it? Stargazer. Okay, so the New England IPA, hazy IPA. I'd been advocating for trying it with 1318 or some version of Vermont yeast or whatever, and just to see if that would change the character from the Kvike that you were using. And so they did that. And when I showed up to the brewery one day just to hang out, and Brad always does this now. He has something to do, and he brings me 2 glasses, and he's like, "These are the same beer," and he told me everything. He's like, "One is fermented."
It's kind of like what happens when I come here.
yeah.
Except they get 3 beers.
Yeah, exactly. 2 beers, but 2 in one.
Yeah.
But he said the same beer. He explained everything to me, and he goes, "I just want to know which one you think tastes better. If you taste the difference, which is biased, whatever, and which one tastes better." And I ended up enjoying the Kvike one better than the 1318 one. It was juicier.
It's got that bright citrus thing going on.
It was better.
1318 is great too, but
yeah.
We've just rolled with this.
This makes me want to head over to the brewery and start lining them up.
I know.
I don't drink your hazies. I mean, though I do. I did one night. I did by accident. Because I absolutely love Signal Fire. Because it's low ABV, and you're starting to move more toward a classic American pale.
Yeah,
on
we're
that.
clearing that guy up.
Yep, and I accidentally got a Stargazer.
Okay.
And I drank it, and I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" But then I was like, oh, "It's pretty good."
It's pretty good. Brad knows what's up. Yeah. Will Level asks, "Do you use Lupomax for bittering as well, or just Whirlpool and dry hop?" I use it all the way through. So. Yeah.
We just use it for dry hop.
Just for the dry hop.
Yeah. Our kettle has so much space in the dish that it's just cheaper for us to go with regular T90 pellets because
for bittering.
For bittering. Actually, on those 2 beers we use Lupomax, we don't even do bittering hops. They're all flame out. Lucidity and
Lucidity's all flame out?
Yeah.
Dang, dude. That's I guess you could do that on the homebrew scale.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
'Cause there is a sweetness to that beer that I
love that beer so much.
I love it, but there's sometimes I want just a little bit of
bitterness.
Just a little bit of bitterness.
I'm trying not to scare away the New England drinkers. Like,
yeah,
make it subtle. You know, I got to make it approachable for both sides.
I did not think Lucidity was at all underbittered when I was drinking them last night.
I want to say it's like 50 IBUs.
That's perfect.
I actually like it better on tap than out of the can. When I'm at home,
that's me for most beers, though.
Yeah. I don't know why, but when I brought it home, I'm like, man, it's just not that. Maybe it's because you're not there.
That could be.
Yeah, Brad makes everything better. Matt says, "What kind of telly is that hanging on the wall back there?" Oh yeah, that's an American telly. I don't even know if there's a better way to describe it. I got it as when I graduated grad school with my PhD. My dad bought it for me. He plays the guitar as well, and so since owning that, I've not owned an amplifier. So when I play it, it's usually plugged in to my computer, and I'm using some sort of like an amplifier modulator type of thing to jam around on it. But I have been, as my kids get older, I've been looking into getting a Fender Twin Reverb. Spencer and I kind of dig out on it. Actually, Spencer, who was supposed to be here with us today, but he had a family thing to tend to today. He's the one who set it up for me and set up my action on it, and it's just beautiful now. He does that kind of stuff as well. So that's kind of a fun thing that I've noticed. Brewers, like, we're all, neck deep in brewing, but we all also have other things we do outside of it that are. I just wonder if it's like that personality quirk.
Yeah.
You climb and ride motorcycles. You just drink a lot,
or cook.
Yeah, you love to cook, and it was a huge part. Your tri-tip and your meats that you make that inspired me to go get a smoker, and now that I'm kind of obsessed with that whole thing. But I've been playing guitar since I was.
I think it's just the gearhead thing.
Yeah,
just being a geeky gearhead sort of.
Yeah, for me it's the creative thing. Right. I feel like I'm not very artistic, so with brewing I'm able to kind of express neat ideas, but it's funny because I don't make things nearly as artistically as you do. But with music, I write songs, and it's an outlet, I guess.
Yeah.
So
people will ask me questions about any of those three things you said: brewing, motorcycles, or rock climbing, and I would just say to them, I'd chuckle and say, "You understand that I'm not right, so the answer I'm going to give you is not perhaps the answer you're seeking."
Yeah, that's Brewlosophy in a nutshell, actually. Yeah, our ethos. Matt also says, "Oh, sorry, beer. Has Kronwolf been able to forecast or plan for post-pandemic business, or is that still too unknown?"
Yeah, it's kind of unknown. I mean, everything's headed in the right direction. I'm hoping it is, but we'll see, I guess.
I was talking with Don last night. Don is kind of the financial brains. What part of he tracks that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he was saying that you guys have grown faster than ever expected. So
Central California doesn't have the same restrictions as some of the other parts of the state.
That's true.
We just don't. We've not gone back to indoor masks here. Whereas
I haven't seen a mask indoors in months.
In Sac County and SLO County, where I'm also doing work, it's indoor masks everywhere.
Yeah, really? Same. We were in LA a couple weeks ago. It's the same thing down there.
Yeah.
But and I do believe. I mean, we can get into the politics of this, but I prefer not to. That the Central Valley right now, we're seeing higher rates of infection than anywhere else, but my understanding is that it's mostly unvaccinated, like field workers, and that's just unfortunate because of just a lack of access to resources, Right. But you're not seeing these, remember the term, what do they call it? Super spreader events.
Yeah.
Like that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be happening. So, but most people, I think most people are doing the right thing, and they're, if they're feeling ill, they're staying home, and so.
But based on the like when we were at Oktoberfest, that was a well-attended event, but you guys have such a great facility that people are able to. It wasn't wall-to-wall people.
If we did go back to like, people couldn't come inside. We have our whole parking lot is enclosed, and we've got it would normally fit about 20 stalls, but we don't park in there outside of staff. So we have this huge parking lot. If we need to be outdoor only, we could absolutely swing that.
Yep. I don't think I think we're actually improving right now. I read an article yesterday, so things are looking up on that front. Good question, Matt. Matt Clay asks, Lupa Max versus Cryo Hops, pros and cons. Have you used Cryo?
Never used Cryo. I haven't ever worked with, I forget who sells cryo.
Oh, I think that's YCH.
Yeah, I haven't worked with them at all. So.
Yeah, good company. I've used cryo once. I've had plenty of cryo beers that other people have made and I've tried. To me, Lupomax has cryo hops are great because they're. I'm not dissing on cryo hops by any means. They're different though. Cryo hops, my understanding is the big thing is that it's a concentrated hop pellet, just like Lupomax, but it's produced in a different way. Haas is a huge sponsor of Brewlosophy. I want to be transparent about that. What I get from Lupomax that I've not gotten from any other hop, except for like Super Fresh Galaxy, is this pungent myrcene hop character. This like that green hoppiness that makes me think IPA. It makes me think beer, and that I've not gotten that from anything else. Now, I have not used cryo nearly as much as I've used Lupomax, so.
Maybe we need to do a cryo versus Lupomax.
Yeah,
I think that came up on one of the conversations with the guys. Because right when I first started doing the Lupomax thing, somebody chimed in.
People wonder,
somebody chimed in and said, I thought we'd done that or I did it on the side or something. I did have to go back and look.
I'd be curious to see something before we get into those types of comparisons. I'm so interested to see what people think if you use, like to compare, let's say T90 Citra versus Lupomax Citra, but use the 70% at a 70% rate.
Okay.
Like I want to see, is it really
right
that much more pungent?
Yeah.
Who knows? But if you've used both, Matt, let us know what you think. I'll read it out loud because I'm curious. Yeah. I've only got minimal experience with cryo, but I've been using Lupomax like crazy. You want to go grab us more beer, dude?
Yeah.
That sounded bossy. I should have said please.
Please.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it.
It's almost 11 here, man. Oh yeah, we're about to our 1 hour. But we'll just go until people stop asking questions. Matt also says he had a buddy with a classic Series 72 Telecaster. Oh yeah, those thin lines are rad, dude. If I'm thinking of the same one you're talking about, it has that cutout, that really flowery cutout that's right on the top of the body. Yeah, awesome guitar. I've played a few of those. Havo says, Murillo says, do you use fruit puree or natural juice for your hard seltzer?
So we're lucky enough to have a major manufacturer of fruit concentrate in Madera, which is 20 minutes away. Yeah. So they source, the company is actually out of, it's Western American Foods. They are out of Nevada, somewhere in Nevada. But they produce everything, or it gets packaged here in Madera. So it's 100% real fruit. They just pull all the water out, and then they actually capture the aroma from that process and put it back into the concentrate. And everything's at 65 bricks, so it's like syrup. So it needs to be diluted a little bit, but everything is potent, and they've got something like 50 or so different fruits. So, I mean, they've got everything from pink dragon fruit to cucumber to lychee to nectarine,
and they're money.
We've
tasted the syrup. It's money.
Yeah.
Whew, I got some of that horseradish in my throat. Oh man,
Oktoberfest.
Havo, I've only made one seltzer myself, and it was the vodka one. And I used, if you go on morebeer.com, they've got like their fruit. I don't know if they're extracts or if whatever they are, but they are very very pungent. You don't need to use that much to get a decent fruit flavor. I really want to make, I don't know why there isn't a peach seltzer out there yet, because that just sounds awesome. Peaches and cream. Add some vanilla and some peach, and I mean, that just sounds amazing to me. I've never seen one, so.
I almost drank it out of the
Yeah, I was going to punch you, man. I want
some. The record scratch.
Matt Clay says he hasn't gotten his hands on Lupomax and he's only used cryo for dry hops. I imagine that's where both Lupomax and cryo are going to shine the most, is in the dry hop or late kettle. But yeah, Will says, can we petition for Lupomax Noble Hops? I will absolutely. We're pretty close with the folks from Haas, and I will let them know that we'd all love.
I'd like to see some Laurel.
I don't want to drink that.
What do you do, dude?
Yours are all clear. I don't know.
Coming from the guy who
let
ate
it
a
settle.
yeast
Look at me,
packet.
I'm whining over here.
Maybe your glass just turned.
Yeah, that's what
foggy.
it is. It's my glass. Why are they serving a German lager that's hazy? Ugh.
It wasn't.
No, the top wasn't. All right, I'm done whining. Yeah, I will petition for that, Will. I promise you. I'll let them know that we want some Tettnanger at least. Some Hallertau Mittelfrüh. Lupamax. Tom Fontes says, I've been using Star San for years now, but recently picked up SaniClean 5 stars low foaming sanitizer. Any experience with that? It weirds me out due to the color and the smell it has. That sounds odd. I've never used it, so I don't know what you're talking about. I picked it up to use with the Mark II keg washer because I didn't like all the foam I'd get with Star San. Those keg washers are dope. Did you ever use SaniClean? I've never.
No, we use Star San for like some things, but most of the time we use peracetic acid.
Yeah.
So dilute that down.
I was on the line. I was talking on the phone with the guys from Exchillerator yesterday, and they make this brewery wash that is just mind-blowingly strong. I don't know what they're doing. But it's the best wash I've ever used, and he knows that I'm friends with brewers and all that, and he goes, "What are they using? They're mostly using like caustic, right, for their cleaning?" I said, "I think so."
Yeah, we use PBW as well though for like soak buckets.
That's what I said.
Or cleaning the canning line because our canning line can't go to caustic temps. So
you got to try this
we're looking
Exchillerator stuff. It's wild,
we're
man.
Just about the end of our drum of our PBW alternative, so we are looking for a new product. So.
Dude, I'll get you in touch with these guys.
With him.
This stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
His name's Zach, and he when they first started, they have a chemical guy who's like making this stuff, and he was doing all of the different blends and all this, whatever it is, and he said, to test it out, I took my grates off my barbecue and just soaked them in there and came back, and he was like, I couldn't believe it, like ate everything off of it.
Oh, yeah.
This stuff is wildly strong. I did the same thing. Put them in this and just let them soak, and then
I need
clean
to put some of my grates too.
I know, dude. I've got some. I'll lend you some.
Yeah.
Super good stuff. What does SaniClean smell like? I mean, that seems weird.
That does seem weird.
Star San just smells kind of acidic to me.
I think it smells,
Clean almost.
Clean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never smelt SaniClean.
Yeah, me either.
This reminds me that. Thanks
The phone
for
drives me nuts.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
me
bringing
too.
that up. Who asked that?
That was Tom Fontes.
Thanks, Tom, because that reminded me that I need to get some Star San.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get that because it smells weird.
Yeah. I'll stick with Star San. I don't mind the foam. Bruins, he says, what is the process for making Lupamax? That is a question better suited for Haas.
They've got a really good
and they will
video
tell
on their if you go to Haas's site.
Yeah, go to johnihaas.com and they look at my kids in the background. And they will there's a cool video. Oh, Olive. There's a cool video of there's proprietary stuff that they're not going to talk about or show you, but it is it's a
I think it's a mechanical process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Let's see. Sods. Yes, I'm 100%. That's what I want too. Will Level says, I just ordered 4 pounds of the Exchillerator brewery wash and it is awesome. It's crazy powerful, man. I've used everything from PBW and OxyClean. Remember everyone was using OxyClean for a while? Get the OxyClean free stuff, people.
Yes.
And this stuff, it just blows my mind.
Any issues with it dissolving in water?
No.
We ran into a few products that we'll toss it in, we'll stir up the bucket, and then when you empty the bucket, there's just a bunch of powder at the bottom.
No.
I've also had
I've not had that issue.
I've also had a product that was a PBW alternative, which we're actually using right now, that foams up, like when you recirculate it.
This stuff doesn't foam at all.
Which is
It's so strong though. When you open the thing, the little poof of gas, get
careful.
out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way.
It won't kill you or anything, but it'll make you sneeze.
It makes you sneeze.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I just when I use it in a fermenter, like when I clean the fermenter, I don't fill the fermenter up. I have an old PBW bucket that I cut that I use to anyway. I mix it up in that. And then I mix it up in that, and then I make sure, and it dissolves really well. Yeah. And then I use it. I don't soak anything in really unless I have to.
Yeah.
We actually just ordered a 5-gallon bucket of liquid PBW they sell.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So
interesting.
John was having fun yesterday on the floors, just squirting it all over the floors and
sliding away.
And cleaning them up.
Let's see. Matt Clay says, I use SaniClean. No problems with carryover smell or flavor. I have had issues with a different company sanitizer. Dumped a whole keg of lavender smoked Hellas. You can tell us who that is, Matt. I want to be sure to avoid it. What happened? I'm so curious. Tom Pontes, thanks, Matt, for that. He's having so far so good with the SaniClean. So Matt Clay says, have any of you folks read the YCH literature on hop survivables? Any thoughts?
I skimmed it.
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
Mike sent it over to me.
Samaya?
Yeah. We were talking about when we did our collab there, so I skimmed a little bit of it. Yeah.
What is it? I don't even know what that means.
It just talks about kind of where you should place hops, whether they should be dry hop or a hot side. So based on survivables. You have to read it. Like I said, I just skimmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I've never even heard that term, hop survivables. Yeah. Yeah. Something new to look into, I guess. Well, I hate to do this, but it's been over an hour. And do you guys have any other things you want to share before we sign off?
No, without having run it up at Brewlosophy Global Headquarters, I was going to ask when we were going to do our Hop Chronicles idea at the brewery.
Yes,
when that's going to happen. But I think he's got ideas ahead of that.
Yeah.
So I'm just an employee here.
I'd love to get some feedback on what everybody else thinks for once we do get to
collaboration mode.
Yeah. Paul's idea or even your idea. I'd just love to hear from people and see what they want us to do because
the thing people have to understand, one of the struggles, I've gotten emails about this quite a bit actually. When we announced that Crow and Wolf and Brewlosophy would be collaborating on experimental stuff, is where's that at? We want to see it. Where's it? Well, the thing is, one of the things we're known for is brewing dual batches at the same time. You can't do that in a 20-barrel brew house. Right. So we've talked about this many times now. Do we just focus on hot side or post boil variables? Do we focus on split batch stuff? What do we do? And so we're still trying to nail that down because we want it to be valuable to brewers, home brewers and professional brewers out there. But one idea that we had was to move the Hop Chronicles or to start a professional or commercial scale Hop Chronicles series as well, where we're not doing just, if I remember correctly, we're not doing just single hops, but hop blends, different ratios of hops, stuff like that. So we've got all kinds of ideas rolling around. If you guys have any ideas, though, let us know. Shoot an email out to me or to Paul or to our feedback at brewlosophy.com and let us know what you think would be cool to see on the commercial scale in terms of Hop Chronicles and experiments and anything else, because we can do whatever we want, So... Well, hey, I appreciate you guys joining us. I appreciate you guys being patrons, some of you for a very long time. We wouldn't be here without you. Brad, thank you for coming on and answering these questions.
Thank you guys for having me, and thank you guys for the questions.
Yeah, cheers, Matt. Matt's the one typing all the things.
You can call me Matt. If you want to start calling me Matt, that's fine.
You look like a Matt. So we're going to sign off. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome Saturday. I think we should go refill our glasses with some clear beer.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Mine's pretty clear.
Yours is clear. All right, cheers, guys. Huge thanks to Brad and Paul for hanging out to answer questions back in October. And again, to our patrons, if it weren't for you, honestly, we could not keep doing what it is that we do here. If you'd like to be a part of future sessions, head over to patreon.com/brewlosophy to make your pledge. Don't forget to check out our new podcast, The Brew Lab, where host Cade Job takes you into the lab with real brewing experts to discuss fascinating research they've done on our favorite beverage. And remember to head over to brewlosophy.com to stay current on everything we're up to. The Brewlosophy podcast is made possible by the generous support of our sponsors as well as all of our rad listeners. We seriously could not do this without you. Cheers to everyone who has subscribed and left a review of our show. It makes a huge difference. If you haven't yet, please consider doing so. Head over to brewlosophy.com/support to view a list of ways you can easily help us to continue producing this podcast. If you want a reward for your support, visit patreon.com/brewlosophy. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Brewlosophy podcast. Until then, think beer.
Start off the morning with some hot tea, lemon and honey cause it suits my bro. Put some herb in the bowl, yeah, it's homegrown. Ain't gotta go through the middleman no more.